Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother.
That crackdown coming as a separate immigration operation is underway in Minnesota. That one targeting Somali immigrants who have been the subject of public scrutiny after a New York Times report detailing how fraud took root in pockets of the community, with some, quote, making small fortunes by defrauding government programs of more than $1 billion of taxpayer money during the pandemic. We're talking about dozens of people in a community of thousands, of course. Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota is here with me now. First of all, federal prosecutors.
All right, guys, thank you for joining me on another one here again. So this is an interview of Ilhan Omar. I mean, this story is not going away. As you guys can see, it's been around, you know, it's the trending story all around. It's not going away. So Ilhan Omar have been doing her rounds. She went to MS, now CNN. So these are usually friendly outlets that support, you know, people like Ilhan Omar. So let's find out how her interview is going to go with Jake Tapper, if Ilhan Omar is going to address the things that President Trump has said, as you heard in the beginning of the interview. So here we go.
Say 59 people have been investigated in these schemes so far. Americans at large stole tens of billions of forms of aid during the pandemic all over the country. Minnesota's fraud scandal stands out, according to federal auditors. What are you hearing from investigators right now?
Well, I've been following the cases closely as they've gone through the courts, and we know that there are more indictments possibly coming. I think that number might go up to 73 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
What? Are you guys hearing this? So Ilhan Omar sounds very low energy in this interview. She's not doing the usual, you know, raising her voice, you know, calling the president names. She said there was no guardrails. By the way, you guys, you know, there has been a lot of people, you know, I think last year before last, you know, mostly blacks around, you know, Atlanta, you know, in the East Coast, different people. We've all seen them here on the news that have been convicted of that COVID fraud. So now, what, you know, if you notice, those people, no politician like Ilhan Omar or Governor Walz, you know, the mayor, nobody came out to try to defend those people. But they are making all types of excuses for the Somali scam in Minnesota. What's going on? And you notice also Ilhan Omar, her body language here. Her body language, you know, she is very fearful. It looks like the walls are closing in on her. And also I noticed she did not address what President Trump said about her marrying her brother. I mean, don't you think that's important for her to address that? That's a pretty serious allegation, especially for a sitting congresswoman. But I don't think Ilhan Omar expected the interview to go this way. She did not expect these types of questions. Just look at her facial expression, because usually these interviews are supposed to be scripted. But even though Jake Tapper is not pushing back, but simply the questions that have been asked here, the way she's responding, you know, you can put two and two together.
Now, obviously, whatever the ethnic group, the actions of a few dozen should not impugn an entire community of thousands of people. Okay, I want to make that very clear. President Trump has used this fraud to make rather, to me, shockingly bigoted comments about Somalis in general, including you, but the entire Somali community in Minnesota. He did it yesterday and he did it again today. Let's run some of that.
She should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople. Okay, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople because they don't represent the interests of our country.
It's pretty shocking to hear it, although I don't know how shocked you are at this point anymore. But Somali immigrants in general, you in particular, have been the target of his attacks for a long time. What's your response?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked because we know that the president oftentimes resorts to very bigoted, xenophobic, Islamophobic, racist rhetoric when he is trying to scapegoat.
So you notice Ilhan Omar is using the usual, victim shaming tactics, xenophobic, bigoted, racist. Look, oh, Islamophobic. This is ridiculous. How are people, let's just be real, like phobia, that means scared. But why would you, for example, move into a country that's not an Islamic country, it's Christian? Not only that, you don't want to just practice your religion, you want to change the fabric of that society, like we're seeing in Dearborn, Michigan. And we've seen it in London where these large Muslim groups move in and start talking about they want to practice Sharia. And we've seen it in New York City too, where people are praying on the sidewalks. I mean, come on, guys, let's be real. That shouldn't be. Okay? I mean, there are plenty of countries out there, even the countries that, these groups come from, where you are the majority and is all Muslim. Why don't you practice your religion over there and implement the rules and laws that you want to implement? But you want to wait to come to a place that is tolerant and open to everyone, but you want to change the face of that nation, forgetting that, if it wasn't for the tolerance of that country, first of all, people like us wouldn't be here. So this victimhood card, which she's trying to present, is definitely not working, because President Trump, he is not politically correct. This is not going to work, and especially the way she is, saying the words like, they've practiced this over time. That tells you that this is all fake. It's not real, because she's not even addressing, the elephant in the room here.
And deflect from the actual failures that he has himself. We know that this administration has not fulfilled majority of the promises that they've made, whether it is bringing costs down, whether it is the tariffs that are decimating businesses in the United States, whether it is the possible war crimes that his defense secretary is committing. And so to me, it is important for us, one, to remind folks that we are Americans. We're not going anywhere, and we will continue to be in this country. And two, that Minnesotans are resilient, and we will continue to thrive.
Have you guys noticed again? She is saying President Trump is deflecting. He's not deflecting. He is attacking the issue head on. So you notice how Ilhan Omar want to tell us about all this xenophobia, Islamophobia, but she will not address the $1 billion question at hand, the fraud question, and also her marrying her brother. But she want to tell us that, President Trump is going to face war crimes. He's the commander-in-chief. Once he has declared the drug cartels as terrorists, he can order those strikes. Just like when Obama was carrying out strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, and other places, the drone strikes, if you guys remember that. So Ilhan Omar is definitely deflecting, and she looks very afraid, and she should be.
What is the practical impact when a president of the United States demonizes an entire group of people based on ethnicity? And again, you can point to any ethnic group and find dozens of people in that ethnic group who are committing a particular crime. The mafia comes to mind, right? But no one, you don't hear people saying that about Italians. They did 100 years ago, but they don't do it today. What is the practical effect on the Somali community when the president says things like that?
I mean, it creates fear. And there is a possible danger that a lot of the people who follow the president have exhibited violence in many cases, especially in my case, whenever he has said something about me that is derogatory or says I'm a threat to the country. I've gotten death threats. There's so many people that have been incarcerated over the years that have been encouraged by the president's words. And so there is fear for Somalis, not just in Minnesota, but across the country, that some of these people might attack and harm them.
Ahead of the immigration crackdown in Minnesota, CNN asked the Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin about the remarks from the president. Here's what she had to say.
Man, you guys are seeing this? Ilhan Omar is finally seeing the impact of her behavior and her words, because once the president, who isn't politically correct, he calls red, red, blue, blue. I mean, the truth is coming out because the atmosphere have changed. Ilhan Omar and the other Somalis that are running around, repeating the same things, they no longer have any impact. Let's get real, get with the program here. Things have changed because she's tried to use the black card. She's tried to use the East African card. It's not working because this $1 billion fraud did not go to help, black communities or the East African that they're trying to do. Because many a times the Somalis majority would say they are not black. They won't even claim, say African. They'll say we are Somalis, and that's fine. They should stand on that. So everything is falling apart. I've been out here doing the research for them. There are plenty of black people of all persuasion that are completely against this fraud. And there's been other black people who they are already serving their time for this COVID fraud. So for her to cruise past all the fraudulent things she's been accused of, and as a sitting congresswoman, I mean, to me, that tells me more than I need to know. And I hope it's telling you too, more than you need to know. Let's hear what the next speaker is going to say.
This is not about politics. This is about public safety. We saw what just happened last week with the terrorist attack against us here in our nation's capital, where one of our great heroes, Sarah Beckstrom, was killed. That's what the precipice of this was.
What's your response to that?
Well, it's certainly not. We know that Somalis, over 90% of them are citizens of this country. Majority of them having born in the United States, and we know that if you are a criminal, you already have deportation orders, and there is an easy way for them to do that instead of creating this sort of fear where they are having raids. And today we saw them stopping citizens, and people were proving their citizenship by showing their passports. And so we know it has really nothing to do about keeping a community safe. It's actually terrorizing a community and creating fear.
Yeah, so you guys seen and heard that. I mean, now she is talking about fear, but last week she was writing checks for Somalis that she cannot cash. She was challenging the president, talking about the president doesn't even have the authority to order these raids. But now that the raids are taking place, she is fearful. She is saying that the people are scared. But you've seen it and heard Ilhan Omar. She's not addressing the billion-dollar fraud. She's not addressing her marrying her brother, the accusation that's out there. So that tells us everything we need to know about the whole situation. So please leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the story. I will see you guys on the next one.